This is a first for me. You might remember I did a video a while back about disassembling pins, and I had 4 or 5 Polaris pins that I bought at an auction, and I took them apart. And this is one of those, this is the blank for one of those pins. I got this blank from Radliff, and the blank has wood embedded in Alumalite. So this is going to be kind of fun to turn too, because I've never turned a blank that had dual media like this. So I'm anxious to see how that turns and how it finishes. And once I get it finished, we're going to take it over to the assembly table, and I'm going to assemble it into one of the Polaris kits that I disassembled a while back. So this ought to be fun. There's a couple of firsts here, so I thought I'd record it and share it with you, and I hope you enjoy it. Take a look at that blank. Isn't that beautiful? The piece of wood in there. That is absolutely beautiful. I'm going to be real careful with the rest of the turning. I don't want to mess this one up. I'm looking forward to getting it pressed into the kit and seeing what it looks like finished. Well, I think the blank turned out great. It looks amazing. I got a little vibration there, but what I did is I sharpened my tool, turned my grinder off, and I think my grinding wheel is out of balance a little bit because it was wobbling and I could feel the vibration on the table until it finally slowed down. But it's not really bad. It's just a tiny bit of a wave there. I really think the 120 grit or 150 grit, the first grit I used, will just basically take it out. So time for a little sanding. sanded down to 400, and then I sanded back across what would be the grain on the wood. I've got a few scratches still in the Alumalite. I would normally take those out with my micro mesh pads, but I need to do something with the wood, and the wood looks pretty good, so I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and apply a few coats of CA to this and make sure that I've got the wood good and covered. Then we'll come back and micro mesh, and if we have to, we'll micro mesh through the CA glue, but that should help to protect the wood from absorbing too much of the water because I micro mesh with wet pads, and I can clean these scratches up and then get another coat or two of CA on top of it. We're going to try it and see if it works. I went ahead and switched over to the non-stick bushings, so let's go ahead and apply a couple coats of CA and see what it looks like. That's actually fairly nice. The CA has pretty well filled any of the little scratches. You don't see them, the scratches that were on the Alumalite. There were no scratches on the wood. I was able to take them out. Man, that's a beautiful blank. I'm going to go ahead and finish with CA like I normally would, and then we'll inspect this at the end just to see how it looks. I really like how it looks. It definitely needs some micro mesh. I got a little bit of extra glue there. I should have wiped it probably one more time to smooth it. It's not a groove or anything. It's more like just a little blob right there. Micro mesh will knock that right down. But let's run through the mesh and see how it looks. I'm going to go ahead and swap out these non-stick bushings for the standard turning bushings, and we'll be right back. That actually looks pretty darn amazing. I don't see any scratches in the blank. It's smooth as glass. I never really, I mean, I've used CA to patch Alumalite, but I never really used CA on top of Alumalite as a finish. Looks like it worked out fairly well. Pretty blank. That red has got some sparkles in it. Really kind of glistens when it hits the light. Let me go ahead and buff this up or polish this up, and let's see what it looks like. We'll get a good amount of polish on here because it's a larger blank, and then just work it in really good. I think that looks really good. I mean, it's a beautiful blank, and the wood is just gorgeous in itself. I don't know what it is, but that red really sets it off. Let me get this over to the table, and I'll go ahead and get it assembled. The Polaris is a relatively simple pin to assemble. You've got this little piece that goes into the front of the barrel, and that's what the nib screws onto, so we'll go ahead and attach that first. And we just press it in up into the little, it's got a little notch on it. You just press it in up into that little notch. Now, the back piece, this is the transmission. You've got to put the clip onto the transmission prior to pressing it into the pin. I'm going to go ahead and get it started, and then there we go. We'll take a look and decide. I really want to make sure I can show the majority of, there we go, that's a good spot. I want to be able to show the majority of this pin because it's absolutely beautiful. Let me tighten this up just a little bit. There we go. And that's what holds the clip on. Beyond that, it's relatively easy. You slide your ink refill in, put the spring on it. The nib just threads right onto the front, and the back piece is pressure fit, and that's what ejects and retracts the ink. I'd like to thank you for joining me in the shop today. Today was really great for me. I had a chance to turn my first Polaris pin kit, and I had a chance to turn my first hybrid wood and Alumalite blank. Thank you, Ron Radliff, for sending this to me. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I don't know what the wood is, but I especially love the wood that you put in this blank. Pins like this are my favorite, and by pins like this I mean pins with a long barrel, because I just love to see that continuous non-breaking wood. You know, when you do a slimline pin, you've got that, unless you do a modified slimline, you've got that chrome ring in the middle and it just breaks the blank up. This is just so much more attractive in my opinion. Now when I assembled this, you might have noticed that the nib was sticking out a little bit, like about that, when I retracted the pin. What I found was the little black cap on the back of the ink cartridge was not pushed all the way in. I simply unscrewed the nib, pulled the ink cartridge out, and noticed right away. So I put it against the table and pushed. It snapped all the way in. I put it back in, and now it retracts and ejects completely. Thank you for joining me in the shop today. I really hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed turning this pin and blank. I want you to know that you are always welcome in my shop. Come back and see me again real soon. Take care, everybody.